Euro 2020 is finally upon us, and after a 1 year delay to sample some of the finest footballing talent across the continent, the big question now is who is going to step up and triumph at these summer's finals? My name is Craig from Craig's FM, and welcome to my Euro 2020 predictions. So with Euro 2020 finally around the corner, I felt it was time to make my predictions for this summer's prestigious European tournament. I say prestigious, it's still a step below the World Cup, isn't it? But regardless, with 24 nations and 6 group stages to be decided, we'll go through who I think is going to go through the group stages and ultimately triumph at this summer's tournament. So we start things off with Group A, which consists of Italy, Switzerland, Turkey and Wales. We'll kick things off with Italy, who, now managed by Roberto Mancini, the former Manchester City manager, he has been rebuilding the Italian side over the last few years, to the point they came through qualifying conceding only 4 goals in the 10 games that they played, albeit they were against inferior opposition. Italy haven't won the Euros since their first ever appearance at the finals back in 1968, when Dino Zoff, their legendary goalkeeper, was between the sticks for them. This is something that the Italians will want to put right. Whether they have the squad who's ready to do that now, time will only tell, but I expect them to kind of go very deep into the tournament itself. On to Switzerland, and what is there to say about Switzerland, to be honest? They're a nation who are just there at each tournament. They're the team who are perennial last 16 knockouts who get knocked out. Their hope is to get through to the quarterfinals of the Euros this time, but that's going to be a very tall order for them, considering they haven't won a knockout game since the World Cup in 1938, before the group stages were even formed, and they needed a replay to get through that. So tough ask, guys. Can you actually do it? Turkey are sort of the enigma when it comes to Group A. They're a very open team, if you know what I mean, in terms of attacking and defending. They're more defensively solid with the likes of Kabak and Soyuncu and Demiral at the back, but they have a tendency to only really show up for the big games. They took 4 points off France in the qualifying stages for the Euros, but then went to places like Iceland and just lost, which was a really weird enigma for them. Just as well then for Turkey, that their first game is going to be up against Italy, isn't it? They can turn up for that game, and then they just need to show up for the rest of the group games if they want to progress to the last 16. As for Wales, they will want a repeat of their semi-final run in Euro 2016, but they've not had the greatest of preparation, considering they didn't even know who was going to lead them for these finals. Their previous boss, Ryan Giggs, who was convicted for assault, obviously no longer in charge, so it's down to Rob Page. Whether he's temporary or a permanent manager now, I have zero idea, but he's going to be the one who's going to be leading Wales through this group stage, and hopefully another appearance in the knockout rounds. Considering Wales' inefficiency at qualifying for tournaments, they didn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup. Who knows if this will be their last tournament for, say, the next 50 years, or if they'll make this a regular thing. For Group A, I'm kind of plumping for Italy and Turkey to go through to the last 16 in the top 2 positions. As far as third place goes, obviously the best placed third place team, or 4 out of the 6 groups, will actually go through to the knockout rounds. I think Wales will be one of those third place teams. I think they can get a good result against Switzerland, but they'll probably struggle against the high attacking prowess of Italy and Turkey. Turkey and Italy, meanwhile, top 2 positions. I don't really see another reason to go for anything else. On to Group B now, which consists of Belgium, Denmark, Russia and Finland. I'm going a bit early with who I think is going to be going through the group, but there's no other reason to not go for Belgium topping this group with the amount of world-class players that they have. The likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku and Thibaut Courtois. Those 3 alone a good enough reason for why Belgium will be topping this group. They have been improving at tournaments since the 2014 World Cup, where they reached the last 8, and then they reached the last 8 again, Euro 2016, and the final 4, the 2018 World Cup. But this is a golden generation for Belgium, and they are fast running out of time. Even though many of their players are still sort of like mid-late 20s, this golden generation needs to reach a final, and their manager, Roberto Martinez, knows that. Otherwise, his job will more than likely be on the line if they don't even make it to the Euro final this summer. As for their fellow group opponents, Russia, expectations are low amongst the nation as far as Russia's hopes are concerned at these Euros. They're a very ageing squad at this point. They were already ageing at the 2018 World Cup, which they hosted. But considering one of their regular players happens to be a 37-year-old Yuri Zirkov, there's not much you really need to say about this squad. Group stage, I don't see them going much further. A nation hoping to recapture former glory at the Euros, Denmark, who are former winners from 1992, even though it was a tournament they didn't even qualify for, thanks Yugoslavia. But it's unlikely that it's going to be the case this time. They still have a fair amount of quality in their squad, in all fairness. The likes of Kasper Schmeichel, their 34-year-old Leicester legend goalkeeper. I have to say it like that because, let's be honest, the man is a force, just like his father was back in the 90s for Denmark. Alongside centre-backs such as Kajaya and Christensen, as well as Eriksson, who currently plays, I believe, at Inter Milan still in Serie A. There is enough quality in the squad to possibly go through to the last 16, maybe even the quarterfinals at a push, but I don't see it getting much better for the Danes. And we have the first of our new debutantes on the international stage at these tournaments, Finland, which means we could get a Teemu Pukki party this summer. This is a nation who, they're not going to have the greatest of match experience at a high level. In fact, they have no international experience at this level, so chances are they're just probably going to go along for the ride and just give it everything they got and enjoy the experience. Why not? As long as we get the Teemu Pukki party, I think we'll all be happy as far as we're all concerned. On to Group C now, which will include the teams Austria, Holland, Ukraine, and new debutants in North Macedonia. We start things off with the Ukraine, now managed by their former prolific striker Andrei Shevchenko, and Ukraine will be hoping to turn the attention back to the football field after the unveiling of their Euro 2020 kit has kind of brought some controversy between themselves and Russia, more specifically the Kremlin in Moscow. That's not a situation I really want to be in as a player. They've not had much luck when it comes to qualifying for these European Championships as an independent nation. They've qualified for the last two competitions, going out at the group stage both times, even with Shevchenko leading the line at Euro 2012. This time he's leading from the dugout, and they might hope for better things, but they don't have enough players who have that real big match experience on a regular basis for their clubs. Majority of their players play for either Shakhtar Donetsk or Dynamo Kiev, both in the Ukraine, and unless they get far in the Champions League, they don't get that big match experience enough. It could be a bit of a struggle for Ukraine this summer. The Netherlands make their return to the Euros after failing to qualify for Euro 2016, and as usual, they'll be looking to channel the ghosts and the spirit. They're not even dead. What am I saying? They will be hoping to channel the energies and the previous successes of Holland at Euro 1988, where the likes of Marco van Basten, Rijkaard and Ruud Gullit were dominating the world scene, or more specifically the European scene, but it still looks some way off for this fairly young but sort of experienced Dutch side, where you have the likes of Matthijs de Ligt and Frenkie de Jong, who made transfers from Ajax, I believe it was, to other European leagues. Their future looks bright, but I wouldn't be expecting too much for the present, unless Van Dijk can actually stay fit. There's going to be a lot of prayers in Holland that is the case. Austria qualified for Euro 2020, and that's about all you can say about them. Honestly, for a national team whose nickname is Dash National Team, there isn't really going to be much to say about their creativity. We're a long way away from the days of Das Wunder Team of the 1930s, when they had the likes of Matthias Sindelar. If you don't know who he is, go and look him up. It was a seriously good team back then. They qualified efficiently from their qualifying group stage for these Euros, and to be honest with you, it could be another long Euros for them in the first place, after the disappointment of Euro 2016, where they had a lot of high hopes going in. If anything, I think Austria will be very happy just to even get a win, which will probably come, maybe, over North Macedonia. But bear in mind, this is a national team who haven't had a tournament victory of any kind in a group stage or a knockout since the 1990 World Cup. That's a seriously long time waiting for an actual win, or from any joy from these finals. And speaking of North Macedonia, they are the second of our two debutants at Euro 2020, having qualified for the rather confusing Nations League Group D playoff, whatever you want to call it. I still don't know how the Nations League actually works. But the fact that UEFA has been generous to allow someone from League D to actually qualify for Euro 2020, North Macedonia have basically said, Thanks, UEFA. We'll happily take that. Which is probably just as well because their main striker, Goran Pandev, who is a European favourite, and for all those who've played Football Manager and Championship Manager, if I remember the name correctly, they're going to love the fact that Pandev will finally be making his international tournament debut at the age of 37. Who doesn't love a bit of romance in football, eh? If North Macedonia actually managed to score a goal in these tournaments games, especially through Pandev himself, I think the footballing world, well, the European footballing world, will cry a beautiful river of tears, but I don't think it's going to get any better than that for Macedonia. They're one of these nations who will probably lose the majority, if not all, of their games. They'll just want to avoid the big thrashings, so I wish them luck. Oh, and by the way, if they do make it through the group stage, even if it's in third place, they're more likely to come up against either Spain, Germany, Portugal, or France. Just bow out in the group stage. You've had a good innings. Just have a good time, bow out in the group stage, and just save yourself the embarrassment, Macedonia. And now we come to Group D, which of course features England, Croatia, Czech Republic, and Scotland. What can you say exactly about the England national team? Yes, they'll be playing all their group games at Wembley, which is quite handy for them. They could use all the home support that they're going to get. Home support? Sorry, they're going to be too busy booing, aren't they, when players take a knee? Thanks, guys. There's been a lot of criticism and social media joking about how Gareth Southgate has selected 4 right-backs in his England squad for this tournament. Well, the problem's been solved now. Trent Alexander-Arnold's not making it to the tournament, so we've only got 3 right-backs now in this tournament. 3! I think that's a bit too much, Gareth. Let's calm down. Jesse Lingard misses out on this tournament despite his second half of the season showing, but other than that, we're still going to be relying on Harry Kane up front. He's going to be our only real major striker, as well as any wingers coming in on the left and the right hand side. So let's just temper expectations just a little bit. It's not the 2018 World Cup anymore, guys. Standing in England's way in the group stages are of course the nation who knocked them out of the 2018 World Cup, and I'm of course talking about Croatia. They were ageing at the 2018 World Cup as it was, obviously led by Luka Modric. They still are now, but the likes of Ivan Rakitic, who suddenly retired from international duty last September, he follows in the footsteps of Danilo Subasic and Mario Mandzukic in international retirement. It's effectively a young Croatia side now, still green around the edges, but they are a team who are still going to be expectant of actually doing very well for themselves at these Euros. They did concede about 16 times, yes, 16 times in the Nations League games last year. Considering that was over 6 matches, that is rather alarming for Croatia. Nevertheless, they'll still be confident of putting in a good showing this summer. Expectations, of course, in Croatia remain very, very high. We now come to the Czech Republic, the third team in Group D, and now I'll be honest, I came into this video here with not really that much knowledge about the Czech Republic, other than the fact that West Ham United seem to be linked with all Czech Republic players, all and sundry, ever since the successes of Vladimir Koufal and Thomas Souček. They've seen what Wolves are doing with the Portuguese players, so I suppose West Ham want to become the Czech Republic B team. They will be playing the majority of their group games here in England and Scotland as well, which will evoke memories for them of their run to the Euro 96 finals, where they lost to Germany. Now, of course, that happened all here in England, but since then, they've had no home comforts when actually playing on these shores. They lost 5-0 to England just over 2 years ago in a qualifying game for Euro 2020. Their European Championship record is quite a mix and match of success and failure. They reached the finals in Euro 96, they knocked out in the group stage of Euro 2000, semi-finals of Euro 2004, group stage in 2008, quarter-finals in 2012, and the group stage knockout in Euro 2016. So just judging on that record, they'll probably get knocked out in the second round this time round. And we now welcome back to the international stage Scotland, their first international tournament in 23 years, to the point I've actually never seen them at an international tournament. I was too young for France 98. But it's been a long time coming, and Scotland, although they're known more for the fact that they have 2 world-class left-backs in Liverpool's Andy Robertson and Arsenal's Kieran Tierney. Everywhere else on the pitch is a little bit middling, it's a little bit average. And Scotland have a habit of going out in the first round at these tournaments, not just the Euros but also the World Cup. Could they actually make a knockout round for the first time in their history at one of these tournaments? As far as Group D goes, I'll personally go for England and Croatia to finish in the top two. I know England are going to have crushing expectations when it comes to home games at Wembley, where all their group games are going to be, but there's no real reason why they shouldn't be able to get through this group. As for Scotland or Czech Republic, I can't decide between the two of them. I'm going to have to go with the Czech Republic in finishing third. They'll probably get a good result against the Scots at Hampden Park. Other than that, I just think it's going to be heartbreak at the end of the day for Scotland. They'll enjoy being back at an international tournament, but I don't think it's going to go any further. I think they've had their chips. They will just enjoy the experience and then head back north. I say head back north. All their games are in Scotland anyway. Two groups left, and we come to Group E now, and they include Spain, Poland, Sweden, and Slovakia. A decade ago, Spain were on top of the footballing world. They had just won the World Cup in 2010. They also had back-to-back European Championship wins in 2008 and 2012. It's been quite a disaster for them since then. Two successive World Cup failures in 2014 and 2018, sandwiched with a 2016 failure at the Euros when they were knocked out in the second round, have just highlighted just how far Spain have fallen behind the rest of Europe, and even indeed the footballing world itself. They lack a lot of pace in their sides. They lack real credible options for centre forwards, which they always have done, to be fair, which is kind of why they focused on a lot of midfielders in their side. But there's no longer the likes of Iniesta or Xavi or Fabregas. It's going to be a tough grind, I think, for Spain to even get into the knockout rounds. If they come up with a side who have even a remote amount of pace or organisation, it is going to be a tough struggle for them to even get into the second round. As far as Poland go, they have Robert Lewandowski. Do you need me to say any more than that? They are, however, led by the least experienced international manager at the tournament, who have only had 3 competitive games by the time the tournaments actually start, and his name is Paulo Sousa. Be interesting to see how he fares at these tournaments, and it's going to be very difficult to say how Poland will actually perform anyway. They seem to have a knack for being very inconsistent, regardless of if the game is big or small. What I said about Poland having Robert Lewandowski, rinse and repeat for Sweden. They have Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Again, at 40 years old. Regardless, though, he will be backed up by an actual pacey forward in the name of Alexander Isak, who at 21 years old seems to be quite a success so far in La Liga in Spain. Now, regardless of if he's up front alongside Ibrahimovic or on his own, Sweden seem to have a very weird transition at the moment between being a very defensively solid national team who qualified from the group stage based on that, to actually going towards a more attack-minded style of play because of a new generation of attacking talents. It's going to be very interesting to see what Sweden will bring to this tournament. Slovakia will be looking to enjoy their second consecutive European Championship appearance, mainly because it is only their second appearance at these Euro finals. They reached the last 16 in Euro 2016 and be looking to match or even improve that, but it looks very unlikely. The majority of their goals in 2020 as a whole calendar year were scored mostly by midfielders. Their main striker, Mikhail Duris, has only scored, I think, 2 goals in 22 appearances in Cyprus throughout the whole of last season. That screams you haven't got many good strikers as far as I'm concerned. As far as who I think goes through Group E, Spain and Poland will be more than likely the heavy favourites, with Sweden possibly going through to the last 16 as one of the best third place teams. To be honest, it comes down to who actually scores best and who scores more frequently between Ibrahimovic and Lewandowski. Whoever does, I think, will be in second place, but I'm going to plump for Lewandowski as Bundesliga's top scorer and the FIFA World Player of the Year. He really should be showing up for these finals. And finally, for Group F at Euro 2020, otherwise known as the Group of Death, Germany, France, Portugal and Hungary. Right, I'm just going to say it now. Germany have been awful since they won the World Cup back in 2014. They still haven't replaced quite a few players who retired after that tournament, most notably Mesut Ozil, who's been forced into exile by the German FA and the German public in general. Also the likes of Per Mertesacker, Miroslav Klose, that they just haven't been replaced ever since. And it's shown in their tournament results and also any other competitive game that they've had ever since. Hence the reason, and I'm really surprised he's still the coach now, but this is Joachim Löw's final tournament and final competitive appearances as German national team coach. And to be honest with you, not before time. They need some new ideas and they need something new. I don't think it's going to arrive at these Euro 2020 finals. France come into this tournament as the heavy favourites, not just because they are the world champions currently after 2018's success, but also the fact they have such strength in depth. Not many people are looking past France as the eventual winners of this tournament. As far as who I think will win the tournament, we'll come to that in a little bit, but France, the likes of Kylian Mbappe, Paul Pogba, Antoine Griezmann, Olivier Giroud, N'Golo Kante, Karim Benzema is even back in the squad. This is a squad that, quite honestly, has no excuses for failure. And speaking of failure, and this is quite weird considering we're talking about the current European champions, Portugal, they have an aging Cristiano Ronaldo, but even at his age, he still has the body of someone who's probably about 15 years younger, so he'll more than likely still deliver the goods. And other than also the fact that half their squad probably plays for Wolves in the Premier League now as a sort of Portuguese B team, I don't know, will they be able to replicate their success of 5 years ago? Despite the fact they have much younger talents such as the likes of Ruben Diaz, Bruno Fernandes and Ruben Neves in the squad, I think Portugal might just fall short, but they'll give it a very, very good crack in this tournament, assuming they get through this group of death, that is. A word of commiseration and prayers also to Hungary, who have to try and avoid being the whipping boys of this group, and I do actually feel very, very sorry for them. Assuming they avoid thrashings in every single group game that they face, they might have a chance, actually, an outside, very slim chance of actually progressing to the last 16 if they catch Germany on a particularly bad day. Don't expect too much though from France and Germany's games against them though. I think it will just be very much routine victories for the big boys. Also, you would think, because if they get any set pieces, particularly close free kicks, they do have a very good young player who is touted for a lot of top European sides, Dominik Szoboszlai. I think you might have heard of him, or if you haven't heard of him very much, you've probably seen one of his quality free kicks on YouTube. I mean, let's be honest, the man can hit a quality free kick. So what you're seeing on screen right now is my picks for who I believe will go through to the Euro 2020 knockout rounds. So from Group A, as a little summary, Italy and Turkey take the top two positions, with Wales going through in third place. For Group B, Belgium, I think, will top the group, with Denmark following in second. Group C, Holland and Ukraine as the top two, with Austria in third place, as long as they get a result against North Macedonia. In Group D, England and Croatia in the top two, with Czech Republic, assuming they get a good result against Scotland, will go through in third place. Group E, Spain and Poland as the top two, with Sweden going through in third. And Group F, France and Portugal to escape the group of death. Hungary and Germany are my picks to miss out there, Germany being the biggest casualty for the group stages. As for who I think will win Euro 2020, before I get to that though, if you've made it this far into the video, make sure to hit the like button down below and make sure to smash that big red subscribe button for more Football Manager and more football videos in general still to come. But now, as for who I think will win the overall tournament, as far as I think who will make the final, I'm predicting France and Belgium to make it all the way to the showpiece final at Wembley here in London. Assuming they don't actually meet in the knockout rounds beforehand, but let's just assume that they're not going to do that. And I just can't see past France, as far as I'm concerned. I can't see past them for actually securing the tournament overall, building on their World Cup 2018 success, and just leaving the golden generation of Belgium just still looking for their first piece of silverware. The fact that they'll make the final is a massive achievement for them, assuming that they do that, but I think they'll be coming up short against a very, very good, highly quality looking side in the French. Kylian Mbappe, as one of the best players in the world, I think he'll be enhancing his legacy here. He just looks pretty much unstoppable, I think, for the next 8 to 10 years, and I think that legacy will continue to shine through at these finals. And in case you're wondering, as far as England go, I think they will make the knockout rounds, but I don't think they're going to go much further than, say, the quarterfinals. I just think there's too much quality and a lot of indecision about what England are actually going to be playing at these finals. They can't play three right backs, so I have no idea what Gareth Southgate's plan actually is. And there we have it. Those are my predictions for Euro 2020, as well as a little rundown of each of the 24 nations that will be taking part in these Euros. It is going to be scattered around all over Europe, but it's going to be very interesting to see what actually goes down in these finals. I will be reacting as well to these predictions after the tournament actually ends. It's going to be very interesting to see how close I was or how far I was from actually predicting how well this tournament goes for each of the nations. But if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button down below and smash that big red subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Also, please enjoy the tournament. It's going to be a cracker this summer, 1 year late. And let's hope it's going to be a summer finals to remember.